Welcome to the Gospel According to podcast, the first and still only podcast looking at the intersection of the Christian faith and pop culture. I'm Dan Ulrich, and I'm joined as always by my co-host who's got a license to grill. That's Dave Hallahan.
Yes, that's what my Father's Day apron says, is license to grill.
He's going to make sure you don't eat a mistake.
Hey, I don't make any mistakes when I'm on the grill.
That's right.
Are you a grill master, your family? Have you moved up the ladder?
As far as if it's at my house, I'm grilling.
Right.
So this is the Gospel According to cookouts, barbecues, grilling, parties, outdoor summer parties. We're going to be looking at those things and how they intersect with our Christian faith. But yeah, I think when things are at my house, I will grill, but I am a flat top griller.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know about you, how you fall in as a grill master.
No, my father, he just got the flat top grill and he loves it, speaks very highly of it. I might have to follow suit. That's not, I've been going with the normal grated grill, and I have issues with it. It's not my favorite thing. The grease all drips to the bottom, and then you either got to clean it out, which who got time for that, or
It's
risk the fire.
kitchen.
Every fifth burger cooking, they come out very well done because the grease fire catches at the bottom.
That's the exciting part. Is this the time when the grill's going to catch on fire or not? Yeah, I think they both have their place. There's been times when I wish I had, the grill, especially if you're doing a big piece of meat, tenderloin or something like that. It doesn't have the cover where you can slowly cook something
right
in that way. But I'm more of a kitchen cooker. I like cooking on pans, less of a oven cooker, more of a, stove top chef. And so I enjoy the flat top grill, cook some sliders, chicken sliders on there, chicken breast, get the nice caramelized side. Yeah, smash burgers. You do chopped up vegetables, onions, cheesesteaks, hibachi.
Okay.
Pancakes if you want.
I much prefer the grill. That's I have a few things that I'll make that are either stovetop or, I'm baking or whatever. Not baking like pastry baking, but putting in the oven. But for the most part, if I'm cooking for the family, I'm grilling. That's whether it's steaks or burgers or grilled chicken, pork chops, whatever. But kebabs, I like the kebabs on the grill. Those are good.
So
times.
What's your go-to kebabs?
I do tomato, pepper, just like a bell pepper.
Mm-hmm.
So the grape tomato, bell pepper, onion, and then the meat I typically go steak, but do chicken, pork, whatever you need. We'll make it happen.
Nice.
Yeah, made to order. That's not true.
Do you enjoy it?
Do I enjoy grilling? I do. Yes, I do.
I don't know. I think part of I enjoy cooking more than Julie, so my wife. And so I usually am the cook in the house, that I cook most of our meals. And I think it started off with, her coming home from work, from school, and then I had been home with the girls. And so it was a natural, hey, now you can spend some time with the girls and I will go be by myself in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And so the introvertedness of, oh, we're at a big party. Oh, I have to cook the food at the grill. I can't be chit-chatting with 20 people. I have a job to do.
Yes.
I think that part of it also appeals to me.
I have been more extroverted in the past than I currently am. I don't know if it's the ministry position where you're in front of people a lot of times. So then when I don't have to be, I try not to be. But I feel that too when it's cooking or grilling for a large group of people. Because you're doing something important. It's visible, so people see it. People aren't oh, what was wrong with Dave? He didn't really talk to anybody. It was he was grilling for us. What a nice guy. He sacrificed his day for us. And you'll get a person or two who will come over and they'll chat you up.
Yeah, that's the dad space. You got a person on each side of you watching you cook.
Yeah. So I'm into full dad mode. So we had for Memorial Day weekend, we had the young adults over from our church, probably a little more than a dozen people were. And early that day, I went and I got a haircut. And I was telling the lady asked, like, what do you got going on today? And I said, we have a group from our church coming over for like a backyard cookout or whatever. She's like, oh, you're going to be grill dad today. And she was not wrong at all. Like, that accurately described my role. And yet I took it personally. Like, what about me says grill dad? Is it the gray hair that you're currently shaving off the sides and back of my head? Perhaps, but once upon a time, no one would have assumed I was the grill dad, but I'm grill dad age, I guess.
Did you do a good wash up before it, or were people getting pieces of cut hair in their burgers that day?
That adds to the flavor, I think. At least the texture. No, yes, I did. I did a good wash. Don't worry.
Oh, what?
Yes.
Oh, what? Is
Always
this rosemary? What's this in there?
Should have gone to Sports Clips, not a sponsor, but I didn't because they would have washed my hair for me.
VIP treatment.
Yes, but I had to come home and I did the good wash myself. So don't worry, nobody ate any of my hair.
Those of you listening from the young adults at Dave's church. But yeah, it's a nice place to be. That, like, if you were cooking inside and the party's outside, then yes, you would completely be not part of the party. Where's Dan? Where's Dave? But you still get to be like on the outskirts, get to see what's going on. Somebody come by. Hey, you need a drink. Watch what's going on. There's a natural thing, but you're also getting to be, the servant background type of person. It's great. So is your house the place to be then? Are people coming to you, or are you going to people?
We try to host often. The thing is, there are several good hosting spots in the family. So like my parents have a pretty decent like backyard with a little swing set for the girls and toys for the girls in the basement and stuff. So like theirs is a spot. My brother-in-law has a nice backyard spot. And my in-laws, they have a nice indoor hosting situation going on. So we don't have a monopoly of the situation, but we try to host family stuff. And then with the church, we get some added hosting opportunities sprinkled in. And as you know, and listeners and viewers will know, we redid our kitchen recently.
That's right.
So we tried to spruce it up. I think we have a nice hosting backyard and have for a while, but now we've got a nice space inside as well. So we're trying slowly but surely, we're trying to monopolize the situation.
Yeah. That's what I'm all about. We Ulrich Acres, which is the name of our compound, trying to make my backyard as much like a summer camp as possible. We have 4 daughters. You have 3 daughters. I want the kids to be at my house, right?
Yeah.
I don't want the kids to be at somebody else's house. And so we have a pool, zip line, animals in the backyard, trampoline, tetherball. Like I said, we're trying to be a summer camp, bringing those things in. And yeah, we love hosting and having people be over at our house for church events, family events. Julie, my wife's parents, my in-laws, our backyard is like their backyard because it's connected. So it's kind of like they can just walk over, which is nice.
That is nice. And probably helps with your expansion into summer camp is like, you don't have to be so strict about property lines. Like,
right.
The tetherball swings onto our property. You're going to have to move that.
It's only on your property every time it goes around. So Dave, we're not here just to talk about backyards.
Wait, what?
The people want to know. We had to do a special emergency podcast here on the same day that we normally record because people have been clamoring for, they're about to embark on summer. School just ended. We got, Father's Day, but then we got other 4th of July coming up, and people want to know how they can integrate, how they can think about cookouts as an extension of their Christian faith. So Dave, what's the gospel according to barbecues?
That is a great question. Our listeners really have the best questions. They really do. I appreciate them so much. We've discussed the importance of community, I think, ad nauseum, maybe, on the gospel according to...
Almost as if it's a core tenet of the Christian faith.
Almost as if, yes, just so close to it being a core tenet. But when it comes to the gospel according to barbecues or cookouts, I think we get to an aspect of community that I don't think we've addressed explicitly before. And I think it's the aspect of community is food. And it's not like a joke. Like, I think food is integral to bringing people together. breaking down barriers between people who are different, who maybe have little reason to get together otherwise. We see this all throughout Scripture, but I think especially in like the person and ministry of Jesus. His first miracle takes place at a
wedding
feast. Yes. So around food, he turns water into wine, but it's a gathering of people celebrating an occasion around food. And you've been to weddings, you've had a wedding. There are people of all different types who come together at weddings. And Jesus played a very important part of keeping those people together and happy and a part of the party. In Matthew 11:9, Jesus, echoing his critics, says that the Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, look, this glutton and drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. So Jesus had a reputation of being a glutton and a drunkard. I don't think because he was a glutton.
Who hasn't?
Which is what I'm setting out to do, people. Okay, so listen, I'm not sinning. I'm being like Jesus.
I want a reputation like the Son of God.
Yes. Oh, but I think the implication there is that Jesus was always around people and always around food. And
he likes to party.
And he likes to party. So we see this played out in the Gospels. Jesus is a dinner guest of Pharisees, of teachers of the law, as well as former lepers and current tax collectors. So all sorts of people Jesus brings together. After his resurrection, he eats meals with his disciples on the shore. His parables about the kingdom
Which is
of
a
heaven.
barbecue. He's eating them over
Yes,
charcoal.
he's grilling fish for
That's
them.
right.
Yeah, he was the grill master. His parables about the kingdom of heaven often describe feasts and the surprising guest lists of those feasts. The picture of Christ being reunited with his bride in the book of Revelation is pictured as a feast. So to me, the gospel, according to the Backyard Cookout, is that it's a little slice of the kingdom of God. The Backyard Cookout is an opportunity to bring people together from diverse backgrounds to gather around the shared interest of eating food and to start to watch walls come down and relationships happen. So there you go, people. That's the gospel according to the Backyard Cookout.
Perfect. Yeah, and there's breaking bread together, which again, the Bible's talked about multiple times. Jesus, feeds thousands, right? Multiplies the food so that they could stay in community, so they wouldn't have to go home, so he can continue teaching and living amongst it. But there's an intimacy that comes with breaking bread, more so in, first century Jerusalem, where they were literally, reclining next to each other, using their hands and kind of eating the same food, which, post-COVID, there's probably less of going on. But still, there's this, this intimacy that we're eating the same things, where there's a closeness to this, that we're watching each other consume food or eating of the same thing and joining together.
As you mentioned that, I think like bringing together people for a meal can be a little bit of a means to an end, right? Like you want to introduce friend groups to each other. The very tenuous step of like, we have a friend group here and a friend group there. I think they'd like each other. How do we make this happen? But I think too, Jesus also uses food just because people need food. Like when Jesus feeds the 5,000, it's after he has taught. It's not like I have more they need to hear, so let's feed them so they don't leave. He's like, I've taught all day, let's feed them. So he's trying to meet a physical need. But yeah, I do think that first century aspect for us, like food is always readily available. If you have to walk further than your cabinet to go get it, it's still a 5-minute drive to a convenience store where you can get whatever. But at that time, food of all sorts was a delicacy because you had your daily bread, quite literally. Like that's what you had to eat. And then you'd get the next day's food and you had to keep everything fresh and et cetera, et cetera. And so who you chose to eat with was a big deal. Like post Jesus New Testament, a lot of that is figuring out, like, is it okay for us to eat together? The disciples, Peter gets in a run-in with Paul because for a time he's eating with the Gentiles, but then when the Jews come around from Jerusalem, he doesn't want to look like he's fellowshipping with them, so he only will eat with the Jews. And Paul's like, what's this? This is not how we're supposed to act. So who you eat with, according to first century, but I think according to the kingdom of God as well, there's something bigger than just we're sitting down for food together. We're sharing a part of ourselves in doing this. And we're aligning ourselves with one another when we do that.
And these gatherings that we have, not just around the food, but around bringing families together. And I think about parties that we've had or get-togethers that we have, and there's different groups that you get to talk through. Maybe the dads are talking or the moms, and then the kids all playing together, and kind of this beautiful expression of the church, of it not being, as segmented or as siloed, of this is just my immediate family. This is who I'm going to eat with. This is who I'm going to spend my time with, but allowing for the village aspect of family, of community, of church to take place within these cookouts during the summer in our backyards.
Yeah. I think the backyard aspect adds another element to it as well, because I don't know if you've watched The Chosen, Jesus does play games with his friends at times, but I don't know that they were playing like horseshoes and can jam. But that also is a way to like break down barriers, and to meet people that you didn't normally know, especially maybe this is stereotypical, but stereotypes exist for a reason. I think guys find it hard sometimes to have conversation and start talking when you're just sitting around. But if I'm throwing bean bags at a hole that's 27 feet away, all of a sudden it's a lot easier for me to talk to you, to ask you what you do for work, and to ask follow-up questions. So I think those backyard game elements help as well to like bring those walls down and to bring people together.
Ask like, what's your favorite podcast, or questions like that.
Yes, it's a great time to promote your podcast, or not that I would do that. I would invite people to come to do that for me. Did you guys know Dave has a podcast? It's really great.
Be like, let me see your phone. I'll subscribe for you and give them a 5-star rating and review.
Let me see your car. I'll put the sticker on the back of it for you.
So if you were to open a Christian barbecue store, what would be would you be able to have any biblical themed meals?
Okay. So I don't know if you're setting me up for this or not, but I'm an ideas guy. And a lot of times I want to make these ideas happen. I've got a lot of stuff going on. I can't make this happen. This is free for anyone to use.
All you have to do is become a sponsor of the podcast.
Yes. Yeah. Once you get this business up and running, let me know. Sponsorship, we'll make it happen. We'll work something out. It's not necessarily barbecue, but it certainly could be. But it's a food truck, Christian food truck. And either like you're giving food out for discounted prices or free because you've got, funders.
And it's called the Holy Crumb.
Investors. It's called Man Alive. Man Alive. Man Alive. Get it?
Manna
Live. Man Alive. That's good. That's good.
Okay.
When former Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz started his food truck, I was like, he should call it Man Alive. And then he called it Kingdom Crumb, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Which, okay, I get it, but it's not as good as Man Alive.
Well, and it's like, oh, I'm just getting a crumb?
Right, exactly, yeah. He might as well have called it like, for the least of these. Like, oh, how nice of you to come stoop down and feed us, thy great Carson Wentz.
Yeah. All right, so we got so I got one. Adam's ribs. Adam's ribs.
I like it.
Some beef ribs.
How about a beef stock soup that could be like Jacob's
Birthright?
Or the Birthright. There you go. I like it. Yeah.
That's good. Oh, what if we had something that was like the New Covenant, or Paul's New Covenant, and it's just a bunch of like non-kosher like pork products?
Yes. Well, it could be like a bowl or something, like the New Covenant bowl or something. And it's just like a bunch of pork products.
Yeah, beef, pork roll, sausage.
I like it.
We could have something as the like, what is it, Matthew, when he feeds the 5,000, but it's just like unlimited breadsticks.
Yeah, just let feed the 5,000 special or whatever, and it's unlimited breadsticks and fish sticks.
The Mount Carmel, where it's like a roasted piece of beef, but then have you seen I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson?
I actually just started watching it.
So have you gotten the sloppy steaks?
Not yet.
Okay. So when you get to that one, it's just like a piece of barbecued meat, and then you douse it with some water before you serve it.
I like that. When you said Mount Carmel, I was thinking just like an ice cream sundae or something. Just doused with caramel. So.
Okay. So if you are out there and you are an entrepreneur,
Go start Man Alive, and we've got your menu. We got the menu rolling for you.
I have just a piece in research for this. I found an article by Adrian Miller, who's the executive director of Colorado Council of Churches. And he wrote this article called Toward a Theology of Barbecue, where he goes into it a lot more about the theological dimension, especially in African American churches where people were brought together, camp meetings and things like that. But kind of, you're saying food drawing people together in a community, especially maybe places that didn't have food. But he writes, barbecue, theologically speaking, is about bringing people together, creating a space where we can recognize the divine in each other and reaffirm our individual and collective humanity, here now, not waiting until the afterlife. Barbecue at its theological and culinary best reinforces a church's important role and enhances the communal experience of God.
I like it.
I like this other tidbit he had. It said a place in Denver that opened up claims to serve non-denominational barbecue because rather, if you know anything about barbecue, it's very divided with particular styles. Memphis, Kansas City, Texas, South Carolina, North Carolina. And so, those as different denominations of barbecue, and they were to serve a non-denominational barbecue. So I just thought that was kind of reinforcing what we said, and it was a good article if you want to read it out there. Dave.
Yes.
Would you like to play a game?
Oh, I'm ready. Ready to play a game.
This game is called Sacrilegious or Sacrilicious.
I like it.
There is this article called The Bible's 10 Secrets for Manly Outdoor Cooking. So they reference different Bible verses and give interpretations on how to grill or how to think about the whole grilling thing. And I'm going to read them to you, and I want you to tell me if this is religious to think about, or this is tasty, this is sacrilegious, and it's okay. Like,
all right,
so you're basically saying
or sacrilegious.
All right. So Exodus 12, the Lord's instructions for Passover were to roast the meat over the fire and eat all of it that night. So no boiling the meat and no leftovers. So is this an instruction for how to run your cookout?
Okay. So to be clear, if something is sacrilegious in this game, it's not actually sacrilegious. It's just not
It's
delicious.
kind of it wouldn't preach,
Yeah.
It's like you probably shouldn't draw that from that verse.
Yes. So I'm going to say sacrilegious.
Okay.
Which I feel weird saying about a command of God, but felt very specific to a time and a place.
So it's okay if we have leftovers.
It's okay if we have leftovers, yes.
Okay. And it's okay if you cook meat in a way other than roasting it.
Yeah.
Okay. Leviticus 6. If the meat is cooked in a metal pot, the pot is to be scoured and rinsed. So your job's not done until the grill's clean, guys.
Delicious.
Okay.
Yes, that is good. Not necessarily in cooking, but I've taken it with me into the kitchen and the grill. The job's not done until it's cleaned up. My dad taught me that when I worked for him. He was a general contractor, and I was the guy who cleaned up for him. And
that was your whole job.
That was basically my whole job. And so the job's not done until it's clean. I think taking that into the kitchen is good. Sacrilegious. Yes.
All right. Leviticus 8. Aaron and his boys were to do their barbecuing at the main entrance of the tent of meeting. So it's okay to have a high visibility spot for your grill. Move it to the front yard if you want, so everyone can see and smell your work.
Yeah, I'm saying sacrilegious with a caveat, which is you have to be open to new people who were not invited coming to be a part of this. Like if you're trying to gather a crowd, then do this. If you want to open up your cookout, your barbecue, your party, whatever's going on to neighbors who you did not invite, then do this. But if you're just trying to rub it in people's face that you've got some good food going and they can smell it, but they can't have it, then that's a little sacrilegious.
Here we have Numbers 11. Moses turned to God and he asked God, "Where can I get meat for all of these people? They keep wailing to me. Give us meat to eat." So the two lessons we pull from this is make sure you have enough steaks to go around and make sure you start cooking early enough that people don't complain that they're hungry.
Those are helpful tips. To that end of making sure that you have enough, at least set a clear expectation of when the food will be ready. If not, I don't think everything has to be ready when people arrive, but they should know we'll be eating by this time. So sacrilegious on that, but I'm going to play the sacrilegious card on the Israelites, since they were the first annoying kids who started the "we want food chant.
They could really use some manna,
some manners.
1 Samuel 25. Why should I take my bread and water and the meat I have slaughtered from my shears and give it to the men coming from who knows where? Nabal was mean, never learned about hospitality. 10 years after he dissed David, he died, and his beautiful widow was married to Jesse's son. So don't be stingy about unexpected guests.
Okay.
Oh, so Nabal said this to David. David didn't say this.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Don't be stingy with unexpected guests. Yeah, for that. Sacrilegious. Taking someone else's wife because they didn't give you food, sacrilegious. Just to be clear.
It was after he died.
Still, I'm calling foul there.
All right, we got two more. Haggai 2, the prophet asks, if a person carries consecrated meat in the fold of his garment, and that fold touches some bread or some stew, some wine, oil, or other food, does it become consecrated? The answer is, of course, no. So, get some butcher paper or Reynolds wrap to carry your meat in. Don't put it in the fold of your garment.
Yes, these are all interesting takeaways, but I'm in agreement with a lot of them. If I showed up to a cookout and the guy who's cooking has like his apron and he's got like the burger patties like in the apron and just like throws them out onto the grill. Yeah, I'm like,
if he just shows up out of his pocket, he's like, all right, here's some brats.
This sounds like something from I Think You Should Leave. Just
yeah. I brought my own.
Yeah, no, do not carry your food on you, please.
A last one, 1 Corinthians 10. What cut should you grill this weekend? The Apostle Paul knew the answer to that one. Eat anything sold in the meat market without raising questions of conscience, for the earth is the Lord's and everything in it.
Yeah, I'm pro eating meat, so do it. Do it to it.
You get your meat from Food and Stuff. It's where I get all my food and most of my stuff. Very good, Dave. That was sacrilegious or religious. And remember, 1 Corinthians 10:31, whatever you eat or drink, or whatever you do it all for the glory of God.
Amen and amen.
All right, we got a draft.
I need the ESPN sounder so that I can play it. I got this.
Lawn games. That's right. Dave and I are going to draft our top favorite, best lawn games, and you are going to tell us whose party would be more fun. What games would you rather play? Dave's games or Dan's games? Which one would be a bop? Which would slap? Which would riz? Who are you gassing up?
Is this a Gen Z party?
We're trying to get them, you gotta
appeal to the younger audience.
That's right. All right, Dave, you want to go first?
I do. I flipped a coin and I won. I'm going with the crowd pleaser, easy to play, all skill levels welcome, cornhole. That's my number one game.
No, cornhole. It's, probably it's reached the most mainstream.
I watched live cornhole on ESPN during COVID because that was like all that they were playing.
Yeah, cornhole. I wouldn't have taken it up top. I see the pedigree of the pick. A great kid. I'm just not that good at it.
That's fine. So, I think a long career for cornhole. I think it's got staying power.
All right. I'm going to go, and a lot of these are just, to be fair, a lot of these are derivatives of cornhole. You know, cornhole walked, so these games could run.
Yeah.
So I'm going with a game that I am pretty good at. My first pick is Can Jam.
Can Jam's good. I like Can Jam.
So rather than throwing a bag full of corn or beans, we are going to be tossing a disc.
I like it. So I'm just going to tell you, help out your cornhole game. Learn to throw the bag more like a frisbee. That's the trick. That's the trick. All right. I'm actually going to I'm going to dial this party up a little bit, and I'm going to bring the intensity, and I'm drafting spike ball.
Oh, I had that next.
That's my number 2.
This one does not have the longevity, a little rougher on your knees and hips. You got to be a little more agile to play that.
It's true.
But great. I'm going to go in the opposite direction as far as longevity. My parents are currently in a league playing this game, and it's not spike ball. We're going bocce ball.
Bocce. Nice. It's a classic.
It's a classic. You can, they have bocce courts where you throw the panini, but you can also play. I like playing it in the yard where it's like we could put this ball anywhere. You go all around the yard, have little obstacles. You gotta, play around the grill. You gotta play around the moms talking without hitting their ankles and getting them to yell at you. So I'm going number 2, bocce ball.
Like it. So I've got cornhole, spike ball. For number 3, I'm going with a game that it's been around for a while, but just recently has showed up on my radar as worth playing. I'm going with croquet. Croquet is a bop. And once you learn how to play, like you can get aggressive, you can get mean. It can get pretty competitive. It doesn't look that way, but it's also, I think it's a fun game to introduce kids to as well, because they're just like hitting these balls with mallets in your side yard. They don't know what's going on, but it's fun for them.
That seems like a rich person in the 1800s game that you're playing.
I'm probably richer than most people from the 1800s. So thanks, inflation.
Shout out friends of the pod, Mike and Matt Ralph. One of them dislocated their shoulder playing croquet at one point.
Like I'm saying, it can get intense.
I don't remember which one. Next, can I go? You have to tell me if I'm allowed to do this. Can I go wiffle ball?
Okay, I like it. Yes, I'm going to allow wiffle ball.
All right, I'll take wiffle ball. Number 3, it can be as active as you want it to be. You can play with only a couple people, set up a lawn chair to be your strike thing, or you can play it full like baseball, get a bunch of kids running around the backyard, try hit some dingers.
Yeah, love wiffle ball. Good choice. That one slipped my radar. We didn't even scout wiffle ball. That's a shame. We're going to have to work on that. Take a look at our scouting department. Number 4, I'm going with ladder ball for my 4th pick here. It's derivative of cornhole or horseshoes, but instead of aiming down at something, you get a little taller of a target there. I like it. It's a good game, ladder ball.
Yeah, you could play a little more defensive or, trying to knock off other people's, go a little hard. I feel like that got real popular about 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, and the stock has been going down.
The stock has been going down. I'm buying the dip. Buy the dip, baby. Because I, to be completely honest, forgot about ladder ball until I was like, what yard games are there? And I was like, ladder ball. I missed that game.
Give me a game that was always being played when we were growing up, but I felt like as a kid, you were never allowed to play it. That was the grown-ups game. Give me horseshoes.
Yeah, the classic horseshoes. I was wondering, I feel like neither you nor I are this person, but I feel like either one of our dads, I could hear them ranting about kids these days and how we don't play horseshoes anymore and how it's a sign of how younger generations are like weaker and lazy or something like that. Which I'm not even going to disagree with. Like, I don't want to throw a heavy horseshoe. I don't.
Yeah, but that was the thing. Like, you'd have the dad's bottle of beer in one hand, horseshoe in the other hand, just tossing it back and forth. Days before, years before even cornhole or any of these other dumb games came along. We used to play horseshoes back in my day. Take it right off the horse, go and play.
All right. For my last pick, I'm going to go with perhaps the lightest iteration of horseshoes, which is washers.
Washers. Okay. Easy to make at home.
Yep.
Probably have materials in your garage right now.
It's true.
Throw this together.
A couple pieces, maybe plywood for the base, cut up some 2x4 for the sides. You need little PVC. And if you don't have washers laying around, go spend 80 cents at Home Depot.
There you go. Washers. All right. My last pick of the draft, we've been scouting international. And so we're going to go Cube. Are you familiar?
No. I'm not.
I believe that's how you pronounce it.
It's like the Viking thing?
Yes.
Okay. I think I've seen it, but I haven't.
So the wooden posts, you throw them over the line, then there's a way of like canceling them out and getting points. Truth be told, I've watched more YouTube videos of this than I've actually played it, but I do have a set and hoping to bring it into, so it's this, 5th round pick, last pick, Mr. Irrelevant will get some buzz at Ulrich Acres this summer.
I like it. I know that we've missed some. There were a couple more I had on my list. I won't put them out there. I want our listeners to tell us what are the backyard games that you love to play that we didn't pick. And then also you got to vote for whose backyard party are you coming to, Dan's or mine.
Yeah, like stare at the sun. See how long you can stare at the sun.
The sun stare, yeah. I got a 7 at the sun stare.
It's a new record. New record, Brian.
This a good activity?
Oh, man. Good stuff. So as you are celebrating birthday parties, graduation, if you are celebrating a late Father's Day, maybe you couldn't get together last weekend, you're doing it the next weekend, 4th of July is coming up, that you would enter into these situations with the full knowledge of how it intersects with your Christian faith. And remember to name drop, it's all right to name drop this podcast. You could say, hey, we're playing this game, Cornhole. And you know who talked about Cornhole? Those guys at the Gospel According to, those fellas. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us in our virtual hangout here, standing by the grill with us and just chatting here at the Gospel According to. Remember to follow us on all social media platforms that have existed ever: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, the Blackstone Facebook groups where you can get, not a sponsor yet, but you can get some nice recipes for all the weird stuff that you can cook outside. Remember to follow us at TGAT Podcast. It's TGAT Podcast.
Yes. And you can send us mailbag questions, recipes, grill tips, whatever.
If you want to send us some, meat for us to throw on the grill. Right?
Yeah, you can do any of that. Fold it up in your garments and send it over to
bring it over
to tgatpod@gmail.com, and we will do what is appropriate with anything that you send us there. And you can do your part this summer as you're attending all of these backyard cookouts. You can do your part in obeying the Great Commission by helping us spread the gospel according to podcast. The ways that we've already said. You see a game we mention that we mentioned it. The Gospel According to, what's that? Well, you'll tell them. You can put stickers on the back of their car.
Instead of firing up some classic rock on the Bluetooth speaker, play a podcast at your
you really want to get that party going, turn on the latest episode of the Gospel According to podcast. Uh-huh. Create your own custom cornhole boards with mine and Dan's faces on it, with the bags with the microphone. It'll be great. Or
my mouth open, and you got to make it.
I like it. In addition to that, a great way to spread the Gospel According to podcast is by leaving a 5-star rating and review. Give your compliments to the chef, if you will.
That's right.
By leaving that 5-star rating and review. And we'll be happy to read that review on the next episode of your favorite Hump Day podcast. This was the Gospel According to
Barbecue, backyard cookout events, and yard games.
Summer fun. I get that. I think as I have been more extroverted in my life than perhaps you have, but than even I currently have been. Did my camera go away for you too?
Yes.
She's like, oh, you're going to be grill dad today. And she was not wrong at all. Like, that accurately described my role, and yet I took it personally. Like, what about me says grill dad? Is it the gray hair that you're currently shaving off the sides and back of my head? Perhaps, but once upon a time, no one would have assumed I was the grill dad.